Alright, so today's pet spotlight will be everyone's favorite new pet, Graves. Graves is obtainable from getting your account to level 20 in Heroes of the Storm. So it's kind of a long grind if you don't play the game, but the game's really fun anyway, so why wouldn't you want to play it? It's like a MOBA game if you took away all the boring stuff and just made it fun. Okay, so Graves. What's so great about this pet? Why is he one of the new tier 1 pets? Why do you see him all the time if you do PvP? Well, because he's got a few good things going for him. For one, he's undead. Undead pets are great because their racial is OP. Two, he has a decently high attack for being an H power type. And he has really high health. He almost has 1700 health, which is anything over 1500 in PvP is high. 1500 is like the amount you want to have on a pet. Anything less than 1500 is kind of squishy. So having almost 1700 is actually kind of a big deal. He can survive like 1 or 2 more turns before dying than other pets. And he's slow, but that's fine. He has a really high attack and health. He doesn't really have any moves that rely on him going first anyway. Except a Clobber would be great if he could go first, but he doesn't use that. Now, let's go on to his abilities. Bone Storm. There are only 2 other pets in the game with Bone Storm. Creepy Crate and Fossilized Hatchling. And Fossilized Hatchling is a tier 1 pet because he has Bone Storm. And he has like high health too. I'm not talking about him though. Creepy Crate is also pretty good too, but Fossilized Hatchling's better. He can hit a little bit harder with the Bone Storm than Creepy Crate can. Creepy Crate's kind of weak. He only has 260 attack power for having Bone Storm. What does Bone Storm do? It does 250 undead damage to your opponent's entire team. How much does it do in this guy? 243. It only does a little bit more. And yeah, so there's only 3 pets in the game with Bone Storm. Bone Storm is a really good AoE. 250 damage to all your opponent's pets is a lot. That's like 750 damage total for just one ability. 750 damage total is a lot. I don't really have to tell you that. Actually, I probably should. Okay, so you know, the normal basic attack does about 300 damage. So doing over 700 damage, which is more than twice the amount of one basic attack, is a big deal. Plus, it's an AoE. It does cost you 10% of your health, though, to use, but that's not really a big deal because it hits hard. Next, we've got Grave Destruction. Deals almost 700 damage, evenly split amongst your opponent's targets, and destroys objects created by both teams. Grave Destruction is a pretty nice AoE, I'm not gonna lie. But what makes it great is the fact that he also has Bone Storm. He's the only pet in the game currently who has 2 cooldown based AoEs to choose from. I think he might be the only pet in the game who just has 2 AoEs period. No, that's not true. Weather effects are technically considered AoEs, so my droplet right here also has Acid Rain and Dreadful Breath. Those are both AoEs. He's the only pet in the game with 2 good AoE abilities on 2 separate tiers that he can take. Like, both the Fossilized Hatchling and the Creepy Crate do not have other AoEs besides Bone Storm. He has Bone Storm and Grave Destruction. Grave Destruction is also a ability unique to him, but there are other abilities like it, like Zomstruck. Here, let me see if I can find a Zomstruck right now to show you who this guy is. Zomstruck, he has Carpnado, which is also like a unique ability that only he has, where it basically does the same thing. It's a 5-round cooldown, and it does split damage, although Graves is a lot stronger, so his hits harder. Plus, Graves also destroys objects by both teams, so it's nice for taking out Decoy, but if it destroys the object, it doesn't do the damage. Like, if it's destroying the Decoy, I mean, it won't actually do the damage, so you're better off just using Bone Storm to get rid of the Decoy. Because Bone Storm, if your opponent has 3 pets out, you know, his active pet plus the 2 in the back row, it'll hit 3 times, and the first 2 will get hit by the Decoy, and the last one will hit, you know, the last pet for 250 damage. While with this, it'll just destroy the Decoy and not do any damage, so that kind of sucks. And then his third ability, you could really use Consume or Skull Toss. It doesn't really matter. I like Skull Toss because I just expect him to die early anyway whenever I use him. And Skull Toss has the possibility to hit really hard. It's like another unique ability, although there are other pets who have abilities similar, like Shadow Shock. Here, let me grab up my Unborn Valk Shadow Shock right here. He's a little bit weaker than Graves, about 20 attack, almost 30 attack points weaker, and his Shadow Shock can either hit for 240 or 446, while this one hits for about 250 to 270. Yeah, it's basically like Shadow Shock, and Shadow Shock's pretty good because it either hits for a lot or for a little bit less than a basic attack. And when it hits for a lot, it hits for a lot. So you really want those high-end hits. Alright, so Graves, let's see, I talked about where you get him, Heroes of the Storm, why he's great, because he's also the hardest hitting Bone Storm user in the game. With with Fossilized Hatchling being the only other one, because these both only have one breed. It's not like you can get a power one. Fossilized Hatchling is pretty strong though, 305, so his Bone Storm only hits for about 7 less damage per hit. So what is that, 7 times 3, 21, it only hits for about 21 less damage, so he is technically the hardest hitting one, but it's not by all that much more, since he only really has, let's see, he has 305, he has 314, he only has like 9 more attacks, so that kind of makes sense. So yeah, he has a lot of attack, he has a lot of health, he's an undead. Undead already gives him a huge plus. He has 2 good AoEs on 2 separate tiers. This is right here makes him great. If there's any other pets with 2 really good AoEs on 2 separate tiers, they would also be a tier 1 pet. But so far, Graves is the only one. Let's see, are there any other pets? I'm trying to think, there might be other ones, like, of course, there was the Droplet of Yasiraj. Here, let me just put his team back up. Dreadful Graves. Yeah, there's the Droplet. He's got Acid Rain, which only hits for about 139 damage, while Bone Storm hits for 250. And Dreadful Breath, which is a really good ability that you can spam. Yeah, he's got that undead advantage. Plus, he hits harder, but then again, you can get a power version of this, which I should probably do, but these things are expensive. So, yeah. I'm pretty sure that's it. He has 2 separate really good AoEs on 2 different cooldowns. That's pretty much all you need to know about this guy. Get him. He's a really good pet, and I see a nerf in the future. Maybe. If they don't nerf him sometime in the future, then I just expect some more OP pets to come out, because he's a really good promotional pet, because he's totally worth getting a character up to level 20 in Heroes of the Storm, because he's definitely a top tier pet.